Hey guys, I want to welcome you and let you know how great it is to have you here for the Greater Purpose Podcast.
What's up? That's how they got So here's Blake Shuler actually putting together.
Here we go.
We'll tag this on to the end. Oh no, he's dropping pieces.
Here we go. All right.
He's actually putting together Hawkeye. I think it's his name, Hawkeye.
Something.
I always get his name wrong.
And then.
Because there's DC and then there's Marvel. There's
Yeah, I just don't keep up.
So the second ordained minister to put together their Lego superhero in the Cubs room.
Tell Pastor Adrian I put mine together.
That's right. Okay. I don't know what you got to ask him. He said that he took Spider-Man because he was going to give it to Corbin, I think.
Oh, I bet.
There are a couple of these that are in Raleigh at the Capitol.
Really?
Yep, they're at the State House because Brad Overcash, Senator Brad Overcash.
There we go.
Senator Ted Alexander and who else? There you go. You did it. Good job. Woo-hoo!
Oh, there's the hand in the back.
Yeah, wait, get the hand sanitizer in the background.
Yeah, and then there's the other hand.
Oh, the hand, you said. Oh, well, that's kind of ironic, the hand and the hand sanitizer. Welcome to the Greater Purpose Podcast from the Cubs room. Yeah. Wow, that cheering crowd in the background. Is that awesome or what? Wait a minute. You got to straighten out the bobblehead. Yeah, it's a little bit better. So here we are on the Greater Purpose Podcast. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you. We hope you'll subscribe, like, share, do all that kind of good stuff. I got to do a couple things first because my producer is not here, but I still do what I'm supposed to do. If you visit the website, bwasap.com, you can log on. You can check out the video, all the past podcasts. You can check out my business, which I will shamelessly plug in a few minutes. You can also check out my executive producer sells Avon. Did you know that?
I did not.
I know.
We do now.
So Donna sells Avon. You can go there and link to the Avon page.
The first
we also
lady.
have some other
The first lady of the ministry.
Oh, wow, the first lady. The first lady of the Greater Purpose. I like that.
Good.
It's kind of a tongue twister, but yeah, I like that's pretty cool. All right, so anyway, all that good stuff. We're not promoting any books anymore. We were promoting a book a little while ago, but somebody's supposed to give me another book to promote, but I don't have it yet. So what I'm going to do instead is we're just going to see what Mr. Rogers has to say today before we get started. Well, or nothing.
You've made this day a special day by just your being you.
We should save that for the end.
I know.
Okay, so we're gonna take his words of kindness and wisdom. By the way, that's from my good friend Jerry Whitlock. It has nothing to do with the Cubs room. It has a little bit to do with the Greater
Get
Purpose.
it out if it's not to do with the Cubs.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was explaining to my guest here. That if it's not Cubs related, it's not in here. But there are a few things in here that are. So let me introduce the guest, our guest today, and it is Blake Shuler.
Yes, sir.
And we appreciate him being here. And real quick, tell everybody who Blake Shuler is.
Blake Shuler is Blake Shuler.
There you go. Awesome. Thank you all. Appreciate it. No, just kidding. No, but seriously, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a man of God.
Amen.
I'm proud of that.
There you go.
I love God with all my heart. I'm a preacher of the gospel. And I'm adamant about what I do, enjoy what I do. I have a great family. I have a great heritage, and I'm thankful for that. And as Sister Gail Parker says, I'm glad to be a member of the greatest church of God.
There you go. South Gastonia. There we go. Got a shout out for our church, right? For our church. There you go. Absolutely. So good. Well, we're glad to have you there too as well. Glad to be a part of that. And so you are an ordained minister?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's cool. And you're how old?
19.
It's crazy. So he is the youngest ordained minister ever to come on the podcast.
Wow.
So that's very cool. We appreciate that. So let's go ahead and jump into our format here.
Let's do it.
First, sorry. See, I don't even know the format. We've been here talking for a little while. We talked before the podcast. Now I got to go back and start all over again. Right? So, when did you first recognize that it was important to become a godly man?
When I realize what a godly man was. I believe it was at that pivotal point in my life, and I have a testimony that not a lot of people can compare to. My father passed away in his sleep at the young age of 46. Overnight on December 8th of 2021. So we just hit the 2-year marker of that. In that moment, I was confused, but I knew that I had a family that I had to step up and be. And my mom mentioned this to me later, about a year after it all happened, and I never really understood this. She said, "Blake," she said, "you went from a little boy to a man overnight." Because there was some responsibilities that I took on myself. Nothing was pressured on me, but I took on myself because I knew. I had a younger brother, an older sister, and I had a mom that needed somebody, and I was willing to be that somebody. And I stepped up and I said, "God, here I am."
Yeah.
I said, "Lord,
cool.
use me, help me." And it's been a journey.
Yeah.
But God's been so good.
That's cool. That's cool. So, in order for that to take place, you had to have some inspiration, man, woman, men and women. But if you could just pick one out, who's been the biggest inspiration? Now, don't get mad out there. If mom says dad, if they say mom or dad or mom or grandma instead of mom or dad, we know there's more. But let's just pick one out.
The one I would have to say my dad. My father was a man of God. He was true. He was authentic. He was relational. He wasn't about cliches. I never heard him say one cuss word in my life. Of course, saw him get mad sometimes because he's my dad, and I probably did that to him. But probably my fault. But I would say he was probably the biggest role model in my life that I would be proud if somebody would say, "You're a lot like your dad."
Cool. Tell everybody who your dad was.
My dad, his name was Mark Shuler. He was a pastor, youth pastor. He was a ministry planner. He was an all-around great person. He had a big heart for young people, youth and young adults. He started his ministry as youth pastor, and then after about 18 years of that, formed into a pastor for about 4 to 5 years, and then started a new ministry program for development of college-age students. And he and my mom did that, and he passed away, and my mom took on that, and now we're in another season of life and directing, and God's good, and He's been faithful. But my dad was a great man. A lot of people know him around this area, but
I just want everybody out there to know
that was my father.
Yep, there you go. Cool.
Great man.
So that was your main inspiration. So how do you think from all that, all this stuff like you told me beforehand and everything you just told us now, how do you think you're most effective as a young man building into other boys or young men's lives or even older men as an inspiration?
I love conversations.
I noticed that. That's cool. I did, and you're very comfortable to talk to.
Oh yeah,
from day one, right?
I love talking to people, and I like building connections. I think it's been said a lot. We have more in common than we have that separates us. There's more that we have in common, especially in the body of Christ, than what divides us.
Right.
And with me, I always keep my phone open to anybody that needs to call, talk, whatever, because I had somebody that for me. And it took people, men and women in my life that were available to me for me to fulfill what God has for me. And it's not fulfilled. It's still in the process. It's just getting started. But I've dedicated my life to really helping people, to doing ministry. That's great. Ministry is different from preaching.
It is.
They're both effective. They're both effective. Right. And I would say I relate behind the pulpit as well. But it's those one-on-one conversations that really it drives. I mean, it really gets their attention. It makes it more relatable, relational, and you can go a long way with one-on-one conversations.
Yeah, that's what I try to tell the guys that we do. We have a breakfast that we have coming up, and we do the breakfast thing with these guys. And that's what I try to explain. Now, they're from all different walks of life,
right?
But be intentional about those relationships with the other men in your life. So Don't just
Yeah.
you blow by, you say, hey, how you doing, and you
Right.
don't see him again for another month.
Time, I would say, time is the most valuable thing in the world.
Absolutely.
You can't buy any more of it, and you can't take away.
Yeah. So here's what I tell guys: if you say, hey, let's do lunch,
Go do lunch.
If you say, hey, let's grab a cup of coffee,
Do coffee.
grab a cup of coffee.
Right.
Do whatever it is you said you would do. If you said you're going to pray for somebody, obviously pray. But why not pray right there and right then? So,
yeah,
absolutely. So that's what we got to be doing. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
So you get to choose 5 of these, or you can mix them up.
Okay.
So, and everybody's wondering why we're looking up there. It's because it's on the wall. I mean, that's how we do it. You guys don't get to see what's behind the scenes.
Right. Y'all just get to see all the all the memorabilia.
All the stuff, yeah. By the way, come see it sometime if you want.
Oh my, it's overwhelming.
I love it. Even for me,
it's breathtaking.
Every time I walk in, I'm like, this is pretty cool.
I can just imagine I did this.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's the hard thing is because I don't do that. And I don't want anybody to think that that's.
I'd be like, I can't believe. Oh yeah, putting up this many. Yeah,
I did all this. See, now there goes my humble exterior. No, I'm kidding. So, but really, I mean, I do. It's even overwhelming to me, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
So I spent the hours and hours and hours.
It's crazy.
15,000
dedication.
Yeah,
that's what I would say to it.
It was. Yeah. So cool. Anyway, back
on the topic.
Between your ADD and my ADD,
I know.
we're in trouble here. Where were we? Oh yeah, the 5.
The 5.
So, are you going to pick one category? Are you going to mix it up? You're going to do 5 men who inspired you, 5 women who inspired you, 5 heroes of the faith, or 5 Bible favorites? Like one scripture from each of those. Or are you just going to mix it up?
I'll do.
Or you can do like Paul Brentley and do it all.
I can't do it. I could.
No, that's fine. I mean, you probably could. But anyway,
let's do. I can pick 5.
You can.
Let's do 5 men. 5 heroes.
Okay, 5 heroes of the faith.
5 heroes.
Cool.
And
that's like you could preach on that.
We'll do.
You're gonna take more. Okay, you're gonna mix it up.
Yeah, we'll just flow with it.
Okay.
I'll start with the men. I already mentioned my dad.
Oh, you can do them all.
Huh?
You can do all of them.
Maybe.
Oh, cool.
All right. I already mentioned my dad.
Yeah.
So I want to. Can I flow with this?
Sure, absolutely.
Because it was my dad was my mentor in my whole entire. He was my role model.
Yeah.
But I didn't start ministry until after he was passed. So I want to take it as a ministry perspective.
Okay.
People that are poured into my life.
Cool.
Number 1 would probably my grandpa on my dad's side.
Okay.
His name is Melvin Shuler. He's a great man. He's poured into my life.
Okay.
Before ministry, I was my other grandpa too. My mom's dad. He was a great man of God, pastor. Awesome person.
Cool.
His name was Alan Campbell. And he passed away. Great man.
Great heritage.
I'm telling you, God blessed me. Yeah, I've been blessed, and I might go longer. I might go more than 5, but
hey, go for it.
Your wife said don't limit it, right?
My executive producer.
Sorry, executive producer said don't limit it.
Yeah.
I would say another one was Brother Gilly.
Yeah.
He has poured into my life a lot. I'm forever grateful for him. Bishop Ziegler.
Okay.
He has helped me develop and poured into my life. There's one.
Get him in here.
Yes, you should. You should.
That would be a longest podcast.
That would be a long podcast. And it would be. He'd keep you on your toes. He'd keep you interested.
Yeah.
He's a great man. The way he cultivates ministry and the way his mind works is insane. To know and to sit under him and to listen. I mean, it blows my mind.
He makes those connections too.
Oh, it's crazy. He can. It's amazing.
There you go.
That is a man of study, a man of God. And then I struggle with this one because there's 2 more that have been very important in my life. Okay. Dr. Stevens, J. Davis Stevens. He's been a very help and role model in my life. Great man, and Dr. Hill has been a very important. Part.
Tim.
Yep, Dr. Hill.
All right, very cool. There you
go. Those are some of mine. There's probably more along the way, but I don't know how many that was. But
I don't know, 7 maybe, something like that. It's okay. That works.
We can do women.
Okay, go ahead.
My mother.
Yeah. Gee, how did I know that was coming?
My mom.
Tell everybody who your mom is.
My mom is Jennifer Shuler. She's a preacher. She accepted the call to preach. She led the ministry team. We always joke about this. My dad was a pastor, but my mom was. She did all the stuff behind the scenes. My mom was more business minded and ministry minded. My dad was like ministry. Yeah. My mom was like.
I think I remember them talking about that.
Oh yeah.
First time they came to speak at South.
Mm-hmm. And she's a very creative, very creative. I mean, she's just an amazing woman. I couldn't do anything I do without her. She's cool. A woman of prayer, a woman of faith. God is definitely taking our family through a season of faith. And I just want to say this real quick. I don't think people understand that when you do become a Christian, you're not exempt from trials and tests of life. And sometimes God will take you through that to expand, not necessarily to teach you a lesson, but to expand your faith, grow you, and
mature you, grow.
I mean, there's tests and trials and you can take everything as a test or a trial, but there's some things that your faith will grow and grow, and just want to encourage somebody with that.
Yeah,
but
that's good.
My great grandmother and her sister, they wrote the song, I'm going to walk right out of this valley with my hands.
No way,
yep.
Really?
She was the one that was praying. Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, she was the one that was praying for me before I was ever even born to be a preacher.
Man, you didn't have a chance.
Hazel and Louise.
That's cool.
I didn't. I didn't. It was just like that.
Nice. Very nice.
I ran from it for a long time. I was like, there ain't no way. But God has a sense of humor. I said, I'd never do that. Never say never.
Right, exactly.
If you really don't want to do it, say you'll do it. But if you want to do it, don't say.
Right. That's why I've told God, if you want me to be a missionary to another country, I will do it.
Right.
I'm not.
Don't say never. I won't do it because then you'll be in Africa.
I've said I don't want to do it,
or you'll be in China.
I don't feel like that's my thing, right?
Right.
But I'm not ever going to say no.
Yeah. Hazel and Louise, they were they had a traveling band. They traveled with a lot of people, and
nice.
So the testimony of that song is my great grandmother Louise. Her daughter was 19 and died in a car accident.
Oh wow!
She had a convertible. It was terrible. Convertible car. It was awful. And she got so depressed because that was her oldest daughter. Well, her sister came to her house and would visit and everything. And the Lord just started giving her words, and she just started saying them and said, "You're going to walk out of this valley." And then talked about Job. Man, I know, right? It gives me chill bumps every time I talk about it. Yeah. And so they wrote that song.
Man, I'll never listen to that song or sing it again the same way.
Well, see, the way it all happened, the first time I ever heard the song, which I heard them sing it from CDs or what are they called?
Yeah, cassette tapes.
And
I don't know what they're called. That's really bad.
And
Brother Gibbs, you don't remember what they were.
Brother Gibbs gave me a bag of them and preached.
You're like, what do I do with these things, right?
No, I actually have a player.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I'm also.
Oh, wow, hey, that's cool. That's
but so I heard them sing it, but I never heard it sang in a church service. Instead, I went to South one night.
Oh wow,
and they were singing it.
Yeah.
And I leaned up at Pastor Adrian, and I was like, my grandma. He was like, huh?
Yeah.
And
I think the praise and worship team sang.
Oh yeah, that's the testimony of that song. That's a powerful song. That's awesome. And this is what got me. How it caught on. That was her loss, but it spoke to me during mine. And that was That was 3 generations.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when God gives you something, when God puts that in your heart, it's not just for you.
Right.
It may be for people that you never met. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That song has been, and not to put anybody on pedestal, but that song has been sang all over the world, all over the country. I know. And they lived in Ohio when they wrote that song.
Oh wow! Okay.
And it was sang in a little town of Gastonia, North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean,
something good can come out of the Midwest.
Yeah.
No. I'm originally from the Midwest. So.
Yeah. But God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah. So Tony Evans, I don't know if you ever listened to him on radio or not, but that's kind of what he's on a lot. As a matter of fact, I think it was this morning that he said it. Your blessing that God gives you is not for you.
Right.
It's for someone else.
Yeah.
So don't hoard your blessing.
Right.
If you hoard your blessing, then it's not a blessing anymore.
Right. That's true.
So that's exactly what you're saying. So
in fact, now speaking of Tony Evans, he said something to me, or said something one time that just struck a chord with me. He said people want skyscraper foundations or skyscraper lives on chicken coop foundations.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go into all that. We ain't got time for that.
Yeah. Me either. So that's why I tell people I listen to all this. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I don't listen to music.
Right.
I listen occasionally. Maybe Christmas season.
Yeah.
But I listen to preaching all the time.
Oh,
Tony
me too.
Evans, Skip Heitzig, all these guys.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm super spiritual. It's because I need it.
Right.
It's what I want to hear, and it's what I need to hear more of. But some of the stuff that Tony Evans comes.
Oh, he's got some great stuff. Oh, yeah.
So anyway, back to the women.
Okay, back to the women.
Yeah.
So those are three: my mom, my great aunt, and my great grandmother.
Okay.
The other one would probably have to be my both of my grandmas on my mom and dad's side. Women of faith. When I was lost and I was doing things I shouldn't supposed to do, my grandma on my mom's side was the one that knew it, and I never told anybody.
Wow.
And so I mean, God would reveal things to her, and I can say, if it wasn't for her prayers and things like that, there ain't no way I'd be here.
Something. Yeah. So don't think the grandparents.
Oh my.
Discerning grandparents.
Oh my. Ooh, it's scary.
Yeah.
It scared me.
If they're praying for you.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. When I was born deaf, 100% deaf in both of my ears.
Yeah.
And they got my grandparents together.
Yeah.
And they came to our house.
Wow.
And they prayed, and a week from when I found out, I went back and I had 100% hearing in my ear. And the doctor said, "This don't mean nothing." By the time he was 3, they said by the time he was 3, he would never hear again.
Yeah.
And my grandpa knew sign language, all that stuff, and so they thought that they were going. And I'm 19 years old. And my dad said I had hard of hearing. I had selective hearing. My dad told me that, especially when he wanted me to cut the grass.
We all have that, yeah. You know what? Yeah.
You're right.
By the way, I'm not going to tell anybody any of the other miracle stories that we've heard in this room on this podcast. You need to go back and listen to them. There are some.
Oh, I bet.
Similar to yours.
I bet.
So, but yeah, that's cool. That's great.
Oh yeah,
awesome.
He still heals.
Yeah, so
he still does it.
So that was it. That was 5.
That was 5.
Okay.
That was 5.
You want to do something else up there?
Yeah.
5 heroes of the faith. You gonna try that one?
5 heroes of the faith.
Now they can be like in the Bible, or they can be external. Now you just gave us some of your mentors and inspirations, so those might be your heroes. But there might be somebody else that's a hero.
Yeah. There's this one man. He lives in Cleveland, Tennessee. I grew up around him. His name's Scott. He's been a very vital part of my life. I don't know if anybody will ever meet him, but God knew what He was doing because when I was little, I grew up in the church that they were at, Heritage Fellowship. That was a church, and my dad was youth pastor, and they were on staff as well. And we were always tight. And I didn't talk to him for a long time because when I grew up and we moved from Tennessee to Texas to Kings Mountain. I mean, we moved everywhere.
Wow.
Ministry and oh yeah,
Kings Mountain, Texas.
Oh yeah, and we live in Cleveland and Houston and Kings Mountain.
Wow.
And now we live in Whittier.
Wow.
Back near Tennessee.
Yeah.
We live about 2 hours from Cleveland. Yeah, it's crazy. And so, but the way that we got reconnected it was a God thing because God knew I needed that. Right after my dad died is when we got reconnected, and God sent me a Scott, and he has helped me a lot. And so that's a hero. Paul is my favored.
Okay.
Paul is my favorite.
No, that's an easy one. Come on. But go ahead. Tell us why.
Okay. Well, because they're different scenarios.
Actually Peter's mine.
Peter?
Paul, yeah. But
I like Peter.
Paul, yeah.
But Peter ain't Paul. Paul knew what he was talking about.
See the wisdom that comes,
Paul is a man that.
See, now Paul should be mine because I was an atheist. Of course, he wasn't an atheist, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
he was a persecutor.
Yeah, but when we think about the Damascus Road, I mean, Paul, the transformation. I think I interpret that as when you may not kill people, you were not going after to go kill Christians. That may not be what you've done, but God knocked you off of a horse that held you, that was taking you to a place of destruction. Yep. And when God said that, he was like, Saul, why persecutest thou? Yeah. And Paul, his life was forever changed.
Immediately.
And from that, he grew. And then, and then you go into, there's a shipwreck. Paul was shipwrecked, snake bitten, locked in prison. A lot. He had a life. But I think the story of Paul and Timothy speaks to me a lot. Because as much as this generation, or as the generation before needs support, needs to a reawakening of things that are going on in culture, this generation, my generation, needs some Pauls. And I'll tell you who my Paul is in my life. His name is Marty Presley.
Okay. I know that name.
He's the one that gave my first opportunity to preach, and he has been a Paul. I don't even look at him as a mentor. I look at him as a father, like a spiritual father, because he has been truly a Paul. And the thing that gets me is when Paul, to stir up the gift that's within you by laying on of hands, for God has not given you. Okay, Paul saw something in Timothy that Timothy didn't see in himself. And that struck me so hard, because there is a generation that has something within them that they can see things that you can't see.
Exactly.
My grandma, when I was young, always said, "You're going to be a preacher." I'd walk around the church, and all the ladies and all the older men, they'd be like, "You're going to be." And I said, "Oh, no." I said, "Y'all got the wrong man."
Yeah, right.
I said, "There ain't no way." And I ran from it. But I remembered when all that, when everything was done, everything was settled. When I got alone after my dad died, I remember that feeling I felt when I got, and I walked in. This is how quick it was. I knew I was called, because I told God for 5 hours. I drove from Kenley, North Carolina, to Whittier, both Church of God campgrounds. I was driving back. My grandpa lived down there, and I live up there. And so we were leaving there. There was a ministers meeting, and I drove. And I said, "God," I said, "I need to hear something." I said, "I need to hear something." I didn't hear him speak, 6 hours, something like that. Silence. But when I got in my room, and I got on my knees, and I said, "God," I said, "I got to hear something." I knew the Lord spoke to me. "I've called you for such time as this." And I was like, "Okay, go into all the world." And I was like, "All right." Because I didn't want to do it because it was popular.
Right. Or just because
I
said it.
Right.
Exactly.
Because, they're going out and evangelizing and this and that. I want to do it because I knew God called me. And so that night I went into my mom's room. I said, "Mom, God's called me to evangelize." And she said, "Okay, hold up." By 12 o'clock that night, I had a post. By that week, my schedule, and not bragging, but I said, "God," I said, "if you call me," I said, "book up the schedule." I said, "I want to know."
That's awesome.
And it was one after the other, and God's been faithful.
That is so cool.
But it's by people that have poured into my life, and I want to be a blessing. I want to pour into other people.
Well, and so like Paul, you said, "I'm ready to serve."
Right.
And he laid it out there. So you got to be ready,
man.
If God calls you and you answer that call, which you better answer the call.
Well, the call of God is without repentance, and that's why I was scared. I was like, I don't want to acknowledge this and then not do it.
Well, here's something too that I talk about, and we're gonna go like way long, but that's okay. We can do part 1, part 2 if we have to.
Well.
But it really blows my mind. Now, I'm not throwing that off on anybody out there if this is you, but when you go to somebody and you ask them to serve in a certain position, I know I understand people got to pray about stuff. You got to, maybe it's something you hadn't considered. I get that.
Right.
But if God gives you maturity, knowledge, and wisdom and discernment, which He does, then when somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, can you do the bulletin boards? Or would you mind being an usher? Or would you mind being whatever?" If you're in that state of life, in your spiritual life, you should know the answer.
Right.
God called you. You said yes. You answer the call.
Absolutely.
You do the work. Right. I mean, so that's where I hope everybody's trying to get to as godly men. We do have women who watch us, godly women as well. Be in that place so that when God says, "Okay, this is what I'm calling you to do," boom, you go right into it. Yeah.
When God speaks, people get this messed up. God don't always speak.
He uses all kinds of ways to communicate.
Right.
Yeah.
When God really wants to develop faith in somebody, He'll make you walk with them without seeing them.
Yeah. Well, and initially through His Word.
Yeah.
We do have a Bible here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Initially through His Word. That's where it comes from. That's where all the foundation.
Absolutely.
You've got that foundation.
Yeah.
When He directs you in other ways, you're going to know it's Him.
And that's the thing for me. Do I think I'll evangelize my whole life? No. I don't. Now, if God keeps me here, then that's fine.
We'll do it. Yeah.
But I think one day I want to see and watch something grow.
Okay.
Watch
There you go.
fruitfulness
We'll be
from
watching
God.
for that. Cool.
I love. I mean, I love I love what I do now. I love it. It's expanded me, taking me out of my comfort zone. I love it.
That's cool.
But
wait, we gotta get back to the heroes.
Oh, the heroes.
Yeah.
The heroes. All right. Heroes.
Where were we? We had two.
I had Paul.
Okay.
And my grandpa,
and
right?
Scott.
Oh, Scott.
Yep.
Scott and Paul. I like the story of David.
Yeah.
I love David, and I ain't gonna go into that because I could.
Oh yeah, that's the whole sermon right there.
We could have 120 parts.
Yep.
I love David.
David's the one. So far, you've picked
Moses.
two. Yeah, Moses.
Moses. I like the story of Noah.
Yep.
That's the story of faith.
Yeah. The heroes.
Oh yeah. Well, what's that? Is that 5?
Maybe. I don't know. We don't count in here. We say 5 and then we go with whatever. Who's the one hero that you point out that somebody would say, "Wow, I never thought about that." You got any of those? I had a few of them in here. Now I'm trying to remember some of them, but
let's see. Well, Jesus is obviously a hero, but let's see. One hero, Mary, obedience.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Think about the persecution she probably. It ain't recorded.
Yeah.
But she was a young. The original text relegates itself to a young woman.
Yep.
And having think about that.
That would have been scandalous.
Oh yeah. People. Persecute. People talk about, look at. That for God, for Jesus to come, there had to be obedience.
Yeah. And these people, first of all, didn't have access to the Word like we do.
Right.
Didn't have access to the teaching like we do.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have access to a lot of things that we do.
Yeah.
And still were obedient.
Oh my.
In all kinds of ways.
Oh yeah.
So, and they were regular, everyday people.
Yeah.
So just like everybody, like we are. So be that person, right?
Yeah.
So cool. All right. So let's go on to, you want to do some more stuff? You want to do
my favorite book is Romans.
Okay. Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah.
That's the first time anybody's picked
Really?
Romans. Tell me why.
When I started studying Romans, I fell in love with it.
Nice.
It's got a good mix. A very good mix of, there's a lot in there, but, I would say because you understand, in the book of Romans, I heard a preacher break this down and it stood out to me. Romans 8:28, for we know all things work together to good. All right. Well, Romans 8:26, it starts off, we do not know. Romans 8:27, he says he knows.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. But when I pray to the one that does know, then I know.
That, right? We just talked about that.
Yeah, just talked about that.
Absolutely.
I didn't know.
That's cool.
But when I prayed to the one that does know, now I know.
That's cool. I like that.
I love the book of Romans. When Paul said in Romans 1:16, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ," he said that in a place where society was crazy.
Yeah.
So
like now.
in the time of idolatry and uncertainty, he stood up.
Like now.
Like now. And he said, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation." I love the book of Romans.
Okay.
Old Testament. I'll do a chapter. Ezekiel chapter 8.
Okay. Can you recite the whole thing? No, you don't have to.
Well, Ezekiel, he had a vision.
Okay.
And he saw 25 priests, and the text relegates itself to young priests. They were in the temple, in the Holy of Holies, where the Ark of the Covenant was, in the temple. And he said that he had this vision, and they were in the right place. They were in the Holy of Holies. Back then that was important.
Yeah. But
they were looking out, worshiping the Son. Not the Son of God, the Son.
Right.
And that spoke to me. They were in the right place, just looking in the wrong direction. And that's how we are in the church, and that's how my generation is. We can be in the right place. And I was raised in church. Most people have some form of church in them.
Right.
Not everybody, but
especially around here.
Right. We are in the right place, but oftentimes we look in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
And that spoke to me. How we can literally be where the glory of God is.
Right. Right.
And looking in a whole different direction.
Right, or not looking where we are.
Right.
We're
Absolutely.
in a place God wants to speak to us and reach us there.
Right.
But because we're in our car driving down the road, we think He can't do that.
Right.
He can do that anywhere.
I tell you, I felt there's been sometimes I feel the presence of God more in my car than in the church service.
No, I know it, right?
Because it's when you pull away.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories is when Jesus, after he got baptized, he went into the wilderness.
Yep.
And he was tempted and all that, but he knew it was important to be alone. Yes.
Connection.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to end it there, or you want to go?
I'll do a Psalms. It's 23.
Go ahead.
Psalms 23.
Okay.
After my dad passed, that was my verse. That and Isaiah 41:10.
You too.
It was hard. I'll be honest. When my dad died, it was hard for me to open up my Bible. Yeah. And when I opened up my Bible, it turned to Isaiah 41:10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God, and I'll strengthen you and help you and uphold you with my righteous right hand. And that's what I've stuck to.
That's cool. That's very comforting.
Mm-hmm.
He
literally
he requested that for you.
Literally, absolutely. I mean, it spoke.
You know, who knows? Maybe God lets us do that one.
I know, it's crazy.
Can you deliver some comfort?
But Psalms 23, that was the message. My grandpa has a great message, and he preached that at my dad's funeral.
Okay.
But Psalms 23, it just that explains who he really is to us. He's our shepherd.
Through the valley, and through
in the great times and the bad times.
Everything.
Yep. He's the one that we can call on. Yep. He's our shepherd.
Yep.
And then
beside the still waters. Yep, that's great. Good.
I shall not want. I mean,
we just did it like we did it in
backwards,
completely different order.
And then you get prophetic with it. I shall dwell. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Yeah. I mean, it just you break that. It's insane. I love it.
That's cool. Nice. Very nice. Good.
I love it.
Now the hard part. At least you said it was the hard part.
Sports story.
But before we do the sports story, you do get some parting gifts. Did you know that?
I saw that. I learned that today.
You prepared yourself.
I did.
This, huh?
I went to go listen to Brother Gilly's story one more time.
Well, the first thing is you get the bottle of hand sanitizer. And it's a shameless plug for my business because it says Mr. Bill's STEM Education and Bill Ward Photography. That's the only reason you get this, just because it's a shameless plug for my businesses. Now, the funny thing is, this bottle belongs to our most recent podcast guest, Robert Knipe, my cousin. Do you know why? Because he forgot it.
He forgot it.
So he'll get this one.
He'll get the one that's been used.
You get this. That's what I'm going to do. He's going to get that one. So you get that. You also, so you know all this stuff.
How about that?
You also receive the most valuable, rarest, not really, baseball card. Officially, I will sign this card and number it. My producer said my producer who's not here said I had to number it.
Yes.
But the official Willie Ace baseball card, I will autograph that before you leave, and we'll put it in a sleeve to protect it. And you get to choose from a Lego superhero.
All right.
And you say, why a Lego superhero?
Mm-hmm. Why a Lego superhero?
It took a second, but you got it.
Yeah, it took a little while.
Some guys never get it. I say that and they just go,
huh?
Yeah. You know, and there's only so much, you can only do so much dead air time.
Right.
So you got to jump in. Anyway, and the reason is because of STEM, science, technology, engineering. Engineering, you have to build.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got to build the Lego
all right.
Superhero. But also because we feel like the men who come in here are heroes, superheroes.
Okay.
So that's why you get to choose from a Lego superhero.
I ain't choosing that one.
You're not choosing that one?
That
why, is it creepy looking?
Yeah,
I think it's Thor, man. I'm not sure. Okay, you don't like that one?
Thor needs a facelift.
Wow, he does look kind of freaky, doesn't he? I don't think that'll show up on here. This looks kind of creepy right there.
Yeah, Thor needs
that. Isn't that kind of weird?
He needs a facelift.
I don't know. I don't know what that is. That's kind of weird. I never thought about that. That's what's his name from X-Men. I never remember his name. He's my wife's favorite one, and that's the one I can't remember. There's a different Thor, a blonde-haired Thor with his makeup's not
What's
so
that
bad.
one?
This one is like Black Hawk.
Yeah, we'll
or
do
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye. We'll do that one.
You want Hawkeye? Okay. All right, cool. All right, we didn't have to explain the rest of them.
That was cool.
Good.
Do I need to build it now?
That's your. We had Pastor Ray Hardy did build.
Yeah.
He built one.
Did he?
Here. Yes,
In
he
here?
did in here. Yeah. So when we got done with the podcast, I actually videoed him.
Building it.
Yeah, sure did. So those are your parting gifts. Now you got to tell your sports related story.
All right.
You got so many because he was on a traveling ball team.
I love baseball. I played football. I love golf
87
now.
mile an hour in middle school. Right?
Yeah.
Is that right? That's
yeah.
crazy. That's awesome.
I loved it. I love
Not per hour. Not per hour.
favorite story.
Go ahead. Crazy, funny, silly, weird. It's got to be one.
Okay. My dad told me this story when he was in high school, I think it was.
All right.
Well, he didn't tell me this when
not when he was in
no. Yeah. But he told me the story from
Hold
when
on,
he was
right. Wait a minute. All kinds of stories will be told. He told you this story about when he was
about when he was in high school.
There we go.
He was playing baseball. He loved baseball. He loved baseball. We'll forgive you, but we're Atlanta Braves fans.
Okay, yeah.
I probably shouldn't even be in this room now.
Do I look like I need to be forgiven?
Yeah, maybe. No. But my grandma had just got to the game and he had just hit a home run.
Oh.
And he could hit.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandma sits in the back of the stands with my grandpa and she says, if he hits another one, I'll give him $20.
No way.
Well, this is back in the day and $20 was a lot of money.
Sure.
He hit it right in her lap.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my goodness.
he hit it,
Wow.
and it went. He hit a home run, and it went right.
That should have been a bonus.
Oh yeah.
That should have been a bonus.
He's like, that'd be 50.
All right. Nice.
And I mean, I've always loved baseball.
That's cool.
And I have a lot of memories of me and my dad watching sports and baseball and football. I love it.
There you go. Well, that's a good one. We like that one. Very good. So we'll listen. Blake Shuler.
Thank you. I know.
Not Reverend. Evangelist.
Evangelist.
That's the title. All right.
Well,
Evangelist. Blake Shuler, we appreciate you being here.
Well, I appreciate it.
God's going to bless you. I feel like He is. I know that He is.
Well,
we appreciate you blessing our podcast guests out there, are watching and listening.
Mm-hmm.
Public guys, share, like, spread the word, get this out there. We hear all the time. I run into people all the time that have been blessed by this podcast, not because of who we are, but because of what God is doing through us. So we appreciate you being here on the Greater Purpose Podcast, and we'll see you next time. God bless.
God bless.